Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to take a look at the Magicka Templar PvE build for the Summerset chapter. I do have a written guide on my website, link in the description below. I have a melee and a range setup on my site. Today in this video I will show you the range setup. So if you're interested in the melee setup, it's similar, you just have a few different skills and a different monster set. When we look at our stats, they're pretty nice. A lot of Magicka recovery to be able to sustain a light attack rotation. Spell damage is high, it almost goes up to 4k because we use Siroria. I will showcase you in a second. Apprentice Mundus Stone, more spell damage. Now if you don't have enough penetration in your group, for example, the Lover Mundus Stone will result in more damage, keep that in mind. Buff food wise, we are running Clockwork Citrus Fillet. Now, the second best option would be Witchmother's Potent Brew. It does the same thing, it just has 200 less health and Magicka. But this one is just a lot more expensive. Potions Essence of Spell Power gives us Major Sorcery and Prophecy and restores Magicka. Now, you get those in the guild stores, you don't necessarily need Major Prophecy because we get that already from Inner Light. In terms of race, I highly recommend being a Dark Elf, would be the first choice, then a High Elf, then a Breton. And why a Dark Elf? 7% flame damage, and we have 3 and 6%, so 9% max Magicka. The flame damage is worth it. Light attacks hit like a truck in this update in the Summerset, so fire light attacks already make up for it for being a Dark Elf. You have a Flame Enchant, you have Vulcan, you have Fire Blockade, and you have the Fire ulti, all those kind of things. So it's quite a lot of fire damage that you have, and this 7% will make it rock really hard. If you want, you can be a vampire for supernatural recovery. You only need stage 2, you don't really need to go higher. Just keep in mind you will take extra fire damage. If you don't like that, reduce it to stage 1 or just remove vampire after all. I do have a Discord where we Furycraft on setups and so on. You can also find the link in the description, and please don't forget to subscribe, more videos in the future. Now this setup here is a pretty standard setup for Summerset. It's basically the most effective one or efficient one. I do have more gear setups on my site. Now if you don't have Siroria, just use Burning Spellweave till you get Siroria. Now, why this set? Dealing direct damage with a single target ability creates a ring of fire beneath you for 10 seconds. Standing in the ring grants you a stack of Siroria's Boon for 5 seconds. Each stack increases your spell damage by 30. So it gives you a permanent 600 spell damage if you manage to stand in the stack here. So just to showcase you that, it goes up and up and up and up as long as we stand in the circle. Now a lot of people say, well, it is not really worth it because we move around a lot. Even if you have the perfect version and you only have 7 to 8 stacks, it's already better than most other sets basically. So you can see 4.1k spell damage fully buffed. Why is it already better after 8 to 10 stacks? Because you can see the perfect version on the 5-piece has an extra Magicka bonus, which other sets don't have. So when you compare it to Julianos, you only really need 200 permanent spell damage to make it on the to get it on the same level as Julianos or Spellweave basically. And on top of that, we get also Minor Slayer. So this set is really strong. And once you get used to it, you will see like you can kind of learn. Takes 10 seconds to get rid of this, right? And the buff stands for 5 seconds, so you can easily reposition yourself at some point before the buff runs out. But that needs a lot of practice, but even if you do ignore that, it's still worth it. Second set is Mother Sorrow. Now after the Acuity change, we are going to run this. We have a very front bar focused setup. So you can see our crit is really high, 58%. Because we stay on the front bar for a very long time, we benefit from this crit a lot. That's the thing, that's why this is really worth it once again. Then, obviously back bar, you want to run Maelstrom Inferno stuff. Infused with a weapon damage, front bar, infused flame damage. Now here, Maelstrom, because light attacks and heavy attacks hit harder now, you really want that stuff to get that extra damage from the light attacks. It's really easy proc with the like the wall of elements anyway. The last set that we have is Vulcan Scoria. This is for the range setup. If you want melee, use Sound. This is nice. First off, it deals a lot of damage. Second, it gives 1.2k max health, which is cool. Now, all divine with max magic enchant. Here, arcane with spell damage, and like I said, infused flame enchant and infused weapon damage enchant. Now, at the moment, 3 arcane is probably the best. Later in the patch, we might swap to 2 arcane and 1 bloodthirsty. If that's the case, I will put it into the update log on my website. My website is always more up to date than the build videos, keep that in mind. And I do have update log there so you can see when I change something. Make sure you have 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. To benefit from the Undaunted passive as much as possible, so we get 6% extra stats. Which is really, really nice. One last thing, yeah, I said it, if you don't have Siroria, just use Spellweave instead. And if you don't like Mother Sorrow, you could also run Spellweave here instead of Mother Sorrow. But it's all on my site, secondary options. So that's this, champion points. 56, 40, 14, 28, 56, 56, like always. You need to decide how much penetration you need. 47, 37, 75, 49. 42, 49, 49, 48, 23, 81. Red champion points. In my trial section on the website, I do have optimized red CPs to increase the damage mitigation in trials for each trial, so check it out. This here is a pretty basic setup. And I also do have a 300 CP setup on my site. Now passives, all the class passives. Then you want destruction stuff passives, you want light armor, heavy armor juggernaut to get a 2% extra health. If you like, vampire. Fighter's Guild, banish the wicked to get 9% ulti when you 9 ulti points when you kill undead or werewolf. Mage's Guild, you want all, especially this one to give us the 2% extra max Magicka, because we slotted this. Suchic one, you need all. Especially because we use elemental weapon. I will get into that in a second. Undaunted, both you need them as well. Then the racial passives and medicinal use to keep our potions up 100%. Now, about the skill setup. So this is fully ranged. As you can see, well, fully ranged, it's 18 meters. You can easily hit everything from this range. Doesn't matter. Skill setup. So, like I said, we have a very front bar focused rotation. Purifying Light, basically a must-have, and you should slot it here. Basically, what it does is you apply a thingy on, like a light beam on the enemy. After 6 seconds, all the charge damage explodes for 24.4k damage. Jesus Beam. Now, this is your execute. You don't necessarily need this, okay? It is only really worth using when the enemy has 15% less. So if you don't like this ability, use Channeled Acceleration. This here gives you minor force for 36 seconds. That's so long. So I can definitely recommend this if you don't like the Jesus Beam. Elemental weapon. Now we kind of replaced force pulls with this. First off, when you look at force pulls, it costs 2322. This is only 2030. It buffs your light attacks basically. This is the new weavable, and that's why we actually with this set we can get over 50k DPS on target times if you really know how to do it. So those kind of things hit like a truck, and it's actually very nice. Like the animation is really short, so you can weave it really good. Blazing Spear. Now this is on the front bar. First off, because of the passive here. With an Aedric Spear ability slotted, increases your critical damage by 10%. So we have this here, right? And on the back bar, it's the ultimate. So we benefit from the 10% extra crit damage. Secondly, group members can pick up synergy, which is also nice, and it deals a lot of damage. Plus, it also can proc burning light, which basically is a really strong dot, or like I think it's direct damage on the enemy. Basically, can proc every 0.5 seconds. A lot of damage for Templar, so you really want to keep this up all the time. I will show the rotation at the end. Inner light, 5% max Magicka, and with the major skill passive, you get a total of 7% max Magicka for slotting this. Zerg ulti, aka Fury Rage. Now, this is basically your trash fight ulti, or just in general. It hits so freaking hard, so you really want this. On top of that, it needs to be on the front bar, because Ancient Knowledge. With Destruction Staff ability slotted. Flame Staff increases your damage done with single target abilities by 8%, so you really want this here. Otherwise you will not get the 8%. Back bar, Blockade of Fire with the Maelstrom Staff needs to be up all the time. Channeled Focus. First off, this gives Major Resolve and Major Ward, increasing resistance, and it is your resource management circle. As long as this is on the ground, your sustain will be fine. The moment this is away, goodbye Magicka. So keep it up. Harness Magicka, a shield, so you can just bolster a lot of incoming damage. And Vampire's Bane. Now, you can choose Vampire's Bane or Reflective Light. The rotation is easier if you put Blockade, Reflective or Vampire, and then just do the front bar rotation. So it's up to you whether you want to let Vampire's Bane run out or just run Reflective and reapply it every rota. Inner Light again, and then Empowering Sweep. Deals a lot of damage. It also gives you damage mitigation. It's very cheap. It only costs 72 ultimate. However, you need to be careful. The radius is only 6 meters, so you can easily miss the target. Okay. It still hits. Here it's already gone, okay? You have to be very close to your target. That's about the skill setup. If you want, you can still run the force pulls, but I really recommend getting elemental weapon for Magicka Templars. You can pull really good DPS with this setup. Like I said, I do have a melee setup on my site. Now, what's the rotation? The rotation also can be found on my site. It's pretty simple. Now, when I want to show you a static rotation, what you need to do is, before you start combat, always drop channeled and use like the channel focus and the channel acceleration. This and this. Then on the, you want to throw the spear, or let's just start on the back bar. Blockade, light attack, then the Vampire's Bane or Reflective, front bar, light attack, Purifying Light, light attack, elemental, light attack, elemental, and so on till the dots run out. Then you use the spear and you start again. So if we do this in fast succession, how this would look. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You throw the spear, weapon swap, reapply all the dots again, and restart. The rotation is very easy. Just to show you very like slow-mo again, you drop Blockade, light attack, Bane, weapon swap, light attack, Purifying Light, light attack, elemental weapon, light attack, elemental weapon, light attack, elemental weapon 4 times. Do a light attack, blazing, weapon swap, light attack, Blockade, and that's the restart. So it is fairly simple once you get used to it. If you have to reapply something else, just do one less, like 1, 2, 3. If you have to reapply something else in the rotation. So for example, if I have to drop channeled on the back bar, we have the four elemental weapons on the front bar. We place this, then we drop this, channeled, the Bane, light attack, and then we only do 3. Because the Blockade otherwise will run out for too long, which is bad for your DPS. But it's all on my site, the rotation. Like I said, it's fairly simple. You can choose whether you want Jesus Beam or not. I think I uploaded DPS parse already from the PTS on my YouTube. I do have a target skeleton playlist, check it out if you want to, or just join my Discord. A lot of people are theory crafting there and showing parses and so on. Now anyway, I think I talked long enough. If you do have any questions, ask me in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and have an amazing day. Cheers.